Old Universities, Part 5. This became the primary mission of the lectures and the expectations of the students. The university culture developed differently in Northern Europe than it did in the South. Although the Northern, primarily Germany, France, Great Britain, and Southern universities, primarily Italy, did have many elements in common. Latin was the language of the university, used for all text, lectures, disputation, and examinations. Professors lectured on the books of Aristotle for logic, natural philosophy, and metaphysics, while Hippocrates, Galen, Avicenna were used for medicine. Outside of these commonalities, great difference separated North and South. Primarily in subject matter, Italian universities focused on law and medicine, while the northern universities focused on the arts and theology. There were distinct differences of the quality of the instruction in these areas, which were congruent with their focus, so the scholars would travel north or south based on their interest and means. There was also a difference in the types of degrees awarded at these universities. English, French, German universities usually awarded bachelor's degree, with the exception of degrees in theology for which the doctorate was more common. Italian universities awarded primarily doctorates, and the distinction can be attributed to the intent of the degrees holder after graduation. In the North, the focus tended to be inquiring teaching positions, while in the South, students often went to professional positions. The structure of northern universities tended to be modeled after the system of faculty of the government developed at the University of Paris. Southern universities tended to be patterned after the student controlled model began at the University of Bologna. Among the southern universities, a further distinction has been noted between those of the northern Italy, which followed the pattern of Bologna as a self regulating independent corporation of scholars, and those of the southern Italy and Liberia, and sorry, I beg your pardon, please, it's Iberia, which were founded by a royal and imperial charter to serve the needs of the government. Early modern universities. During the early modern period, approximately late 15th to 1800, the universities of Europe would see a tremendous amount of growth, productivity, and innovative research. At the end of the Middle Ages, about 400 years after the first European university was founded, there were 29 universities spread throughout Europe. In the 15th century, 28 new ones were created, with another 18 added between 1500 and 1625. This pace continued until by the end of the 18th century there were approximately 143 universities in Europe, with the highest concentration in the German Empire, 34. Italian countries had 20. While the German Empire had 34 universities, the Italian countries had 26 universities, France had 25 universities, Spain had 23 universities, and this was close to a 500% increase over the number of universities towards the end of the Middle Ages. This number does not include the numerous universities that disappeared or the institutions that merged with the other universities during this time. The identification of a university was not necessarily obvious during the early modern period, as the term applied to burgeoning number of institutions. In fact, the term university was not always used to designate a higher education institution in Mediterranean countries. The term studium generale was still often used, while academy was common in the northern European countries. The propagation of university was not necessarily a steady progression, as the 17th century was rife with events that adversely affected university expansion. Many wars, and especially the 30 Years' War, disrupted the university landscape throughout Europe, and at different times, war, plague, famine, regicide, and changes in the religious power and structure often adversely affected the societies that provided support for universities.